Hi, my name is Deanna Burks, and I want to share with you the formula that I use in ChatGPT to achieve some brand copywriting and brand strategy development for some of my clients. So, this is going to be the actual questions that I ask them on their onboarding homework, and then how I use that information inside ChatGPT and what order I use it in to build on the homework that they've provided with the hopes of coming up with usable copy, so written content for use on their website, their CRM, emails, etc. So we'll go through that step by step, and I will show you exactly how I go about doing this and the questions that I ask. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window and show you my onboarding homework that I share with my clients. So this is the questionnaire that I use, and this information gets filtered in to my spreadsheet. So I'm going to fill it out. Okay. And then with my clients, I ask them to provide me all of their information so that I can use this information to help them share what they need to with their clients. So for example, office hours, etc., things like that. Some people may want that information published, some people may not. And then just continue on. I'll grab some reviews here that I have from some clients on HoneyBook. Let's see here, their reviews page. So I'll just copy that. Actually, I'll just copy these three. Then I'll go back to my onboarding and then put them in there. And then now ChatGPT can go through websites and find information. So it's important to be able to give them that information that they need. I don't know what this question is. I can't see it. Let's see here. So I use HoneyBook, Asana, Trello, Typeform, Acuity, Canva, Notion. Don't use Calendly. And Squarespace, Flowdesk. If you don't use Flowdesk, I highly recommend it. And I also use, well, there's quite a few different things, but I'm just going to leave this here. So this is primarily for my HoneyBook clients, but this also gives me a really good set of questions to be able to create a lot of content for them. Do you want to schedule a complimentary consultation before booking a client? No. It's usually 60 minutes. And Okay. Whoops. Did not mean to make that smaller like that. Help my clients market their business. And a lot of people don't know what this means. So, for example, for me, I would say, I'm the only creative so whatever makes you unique. Frequently asked questions from clients, and how do you respond to them? And a lot of times the information they give is very vague, and so it's sometimes just a little scrap of information, and you'd be surprised what you can do with little scraps. So it's important just to, when you're drafting your own onboarding questionnaire for yourself, when you're answering these questions for yourself, which I'll give you a sheet to use to create this information. It's important just to put whatever, even if it's not worded exactly the way that you would want it to be presented to the world. It's important just to get something on paper, and then we can work on refining and refining and refining. Some famous person once said, if I had more time, I would write a shorter letter. And that really is kind of the core principle for me in everything that I do, is trying to refine down to the purest form. Okay, so what is my unique offering that often surprises people? My unique offering is that I am a tech design and business expert. What holds people back from hiring you? Price and sometimes they don't understand what I do. So despite several attempts to word complex scenarios in very simple ways, some people get it and some people don't. And so that part is always the challenge for people that provide really complex services. It's trying to explain it to someone like they're a 5-year-old, but without insulting their intelligence. So that is always the challenge, and to also be constantly evaluating how that's working. Are people understanding what you offer? Do they get it right away, or do you have to explain and explain and explain? In my case, because I use HoneyBook and because I use technology, a lot of the times people don't understand what that technology is. And so I have to find a way to explain it to them that helps them break it down into something that they can relate to. So I ask my clients, what it is that they struggle with. go back and review that again. Replying on time, that's a huge thing. Most people have a big struggle with that. And if you're not using a CRM or something that has an built-in automated response, then replying on time will be really very possibly difficult for you if you are a busy person and you actually do have work. If your brand isn't represented, it needs to be represented at each touch point. So every single communication that you send out to your client, everywhere they see you, everywhere your name is mentioned, it needs to have your brand look, feel, voice, everything needs to just scream your brand. This relates to HoneyBook. I don't have or understand automations, and then I'm not great at writing. That's one of the most common questions that I get asked from people, or one of the most common complaints is they are not great at writing. They don't feel like they can accurately represent what they do with written content and do it in a way that makes it compelling or makes it resonate with their target audience. And so that is actually why I am sharing this with you, is to help you be able to do that, know how to ask questions using AI to be able to get back the information that you need from the program to be able to articulate what you do very clearly and concise. I struggle with how to organize my process. We're also going to go into that as well in ChatGPT and learn how to use that technology to just augment what you're already doing. So this is a question that I ask: what are the common booking steps? So I need to know from clients what it is that they do. So they inquire on my website, select a package, book a consultation. I have a consultation. And these are really the things that actually go on inside HoneyBook automatically as well. Need to send visuals and send a timeline. Okay. And then how you work. Okay, who has to be involved? Just me, my client, and anyone at my client's work who will be involved in Okay, this is another really important one. How do you sell your products or services? Are you more effective at closing a sale through phone, Zoom, in person, or do people usually feel comfortable booking without direct communication? This one is a really important one. There's a certain price point where people will feel comfortable booking somebody without having a big conversation with them, especially if they already are familiar with you and understand what you offer. When you start getting up into higher numbers, to me, really, or anything over $500, when people start getting into $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 and up, then they really want to be able to be sure that they're talking to somebody that they feel like they can trust and that understands them and is going to be able to accomplish the work that they do. So most often people find that they can close a sale much easier if they actually speak to that person or have a Zoom meeting or just a brief phone call sometimes. I personally charge for a consultation just because I get a lot of inquiries every day. And if I spent all of my time doing complimentary consultations, I would lose energy for doing my actual work. So that's a totally different topic that we'll go over in another video. But I would say that I advertise my services online, then is there a defined sales process? Yes. Okay, so mine is in that order. And then tell me your services and pricing. This is another really important one. People often don't know how to price their services. I have separate courses on that to help guide you with that. But one thing you do need to do is have a very clear, easy to understand pricing structure and payment structure. So whoops, I did not answer that correctly. Sorry. Package offering. Okay. Copy is written content. Some people don't know what that means, but many do, but some people don't understand exactly what that means. So written content, let's see, content curation or development. So content curation might be helping someone create a brand shoot or finding the right stock photography for them, etc. Website design, website launch. And then that is okay. And then don't have one, just leave that blank. Let's see here. Clarity call is $375. Branding details, I have all of that. No, let's see, let's go back up to that other question. I think I did not. One more. Check the items that you have. Okay, next question. This is important to know. If you don't know how to find this out, I can show you. This doesn't really apply to the writing part of using ChatGPT, but it is helpful. I'm just going to skip this for now, and I'm going to skip that for now, and skip that for now. This, we'll just use what, okay, now this one's important, your ideal client. This actually needs to go up here. And then Okay, where do they shop? Let's see. The majority of my clients are females. Okay, so digging in a little deeper, what challenges do your client usually encounter? It's usually time, lack of knowledge, or time to learn, time again, communication with their clients, a system that works well, brand representation. Okay. Okay. Long term. I may have some typos here. Let's see. All right. So, a brief bio about myself. Whoops. Okay. Okay, one more. Just a couple more questions, and then we'll go into the next phase of this. A lot of people don't know where their domain is hosted. They don't know a lot of this language, but it's really important to understand that. So that will be covered in another recording that I do. Now, at the end of this, I allow people to schedule an onboarding session. So this is once a client's booked me, just to give you a little history about what all this is. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take that information and I want to put it inside of HoneyBook. So I'm going to take this information right here and I'm going to copy and paste all of this I'm going to put it inside. We're going to run this all through ChatGPT, believe it or not, if I can get it all copied here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go over to my text edit and I'm just going to save it. Okay, so now I am going to go over to ChatGPT and I'm going to start following these prompts that I have. So normally what I do when I have a new client is I say, find out all you can about this client, act like a brand strategist and evaluate their brand, act like a website developer and evaluate their website, act like a digital presence strategist and evaluate their online presence. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to add this in here. So I'm going to make sure that I have the following plugins on. So I have on Link Reader and Web Pilot. So these can browse websites. And then I have on Contentify Marketing. So I'm going to paste that prompt in there and then I'm going to give them the web address for me, Deanna Burks, the client. And then you'll see here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and copy my web address and then I'm going to enter in my web address right here. And then I'm going to, again, making sure that I am using ChatGPT version 4 with the plugins. And then I am going to hit return. So we're going to see what happens here. It's going to start evaluating and looking for information about me on the internet in various places, but especially on my website. So while this is processing, we'll just wait here for a second and see what it comes up with. And then we're going to load in all of that homework inside the prompt. And then we're going to tell it so you can see it starts to give some information about me. And it'll also, sometimes it'll evaluate and tell you where there are some weaknesses in your website. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on which web browser you're using and which plugin you're using. My website has a lot of SEO on it, so that is not an accurate representation. The content marketing is definitely correct. I'm very busy. I don't do a lot of content marketing, so I really don't utilize the second and the third options. Email marketing, I do very minimally. I don't use ConvertKit, but I do use Flowdesk, and that is a very good application, and ConvertKit as well. So now I'm going to add in all of this information, and I am going to say, this is the homework or onboarding information provided by Deanna. Use this to create a summary of her offerings. What makes her unique? Okay, and now I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm going to hit return so I can get a little space in between there. And then I'm going to paste. Now this may be too much information for the one post. Sometimes ChatGPT has some limitations on information, and I actually don't want all those. So let me convert this to plain text. I don't want all of those bullet points in there. So I'm going to make this a plain text document. It's going to get rid of all of that information. And then I'm actually going to remove all of these. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Well, okay, I'm going to copy this, and then I am going to do that, and I'm going to replace and move. Dang, what happened? Okay, there we go. Sorry. And then I want to also do the same here, and I want to get rid of all those spaces, those unnecessary spaces that are there. And that looks good. So that's much better. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to copy this into, I'm going to erase this prompt, this information that I added in. The prompt is still there, but I'm going to repost the information in there. And now I'm going to hit return. So I'm asking it, this is the onboarding information provided by Deanna. Use this to create a summary of her offerings, what makes her unique. Okay, so I'm going to hit return and we'll see if it's able to process this information. It may be too much. So as you're using ChatGPT, you'll begin to notice that it uses a lot of the same words over and over. And the word beacon is one of them. Another thing it tends to use a lot is magic. There's a common phrase that's used a lot that I cannot stand. It's been used across any creative industry. It's called turning your dreams into a reality. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. I cannot stand that phrase. I feel like it is the weakest phrase ever. Yes, we're turning your dreams into a reality, but really, what does that mean? It's got to be a little bit more definitive than that. So as you can see, it's taken all of this information and it's condensed it down into some basic information about Deanna. So it's gathered, it's separated the wheat from the chaff, and it's literally just given me a clean, refined response that we want to really read through well, make sure everything is accurate, and then not misrepresent anything. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the prompts and we're going to say, what is Deanna's UVP and USP? And if you don't know what those are, you need to know what those are. Unique value proposition, unique selling. So we're going to say, give us that information. And now it's writing it out. And it's taking the information that I provided it and it's going inside and really just deep diving into what it is. This right here is what most people are looking for, results-oriented service. They want to know that you can give them the results they need. Okay, so what are the features and benefits? Very important to know. What are the features and benefits of working with this company? So we're going to say working with Deanna. And it will begin to outline being able to utilize this is, I think for some people it's a little bit uncomfortable. They're not comfortable utilizing AI, or they feel like it's not going to be authentic. The reason that I use AI, I typically don't use it just for copywriting. I use it a lot for generating coding, checking code, providing me solutions, using tech to pair together to create a desired outcome for a client, but it does work really well for writing copy. If you train it, you have to train it to be able to write in your brand voice. And I actually have my own app that is my brand voice that I use and that I share with clients as well. So we'll go now into the next prompts, and then let's say compare and contrast how Deanna describes her business from her homework and contrast this with what's on her website. So this is really important because you want to be able to see, is what you are sharing with the world, is that really what you intend to be sharing with the world? Is that match? Do those things actually align with each other? So we will change this to compare and contrast how Deanna describes her business currently on her website. Her business from her onboarding questions, to be very specific with this. And so this will give an interesting output. So right now it's just going through and defining the two different ones. And now this part is the contrast. So it's showing that I have consistency in highlighting my services. The onboarding responses provide a clearer articulation of her UVP and USP. So this, it says right here, the website communicates these more through client outcomes and less through direct statements about her business. So that may be something to look at and try to see if I can make those two parallel and uniquely align so that that is represented. There's a strong alignment between how I describe my brand and how it's presented. And then the onboarding information emphasizes a structured, consultative approach to client engagement. The website showcases the end results of this process, focusing on the emotional and business impact of her work. So it says in summary, while there's a strong coherence between Deanna's self-description and her website's portrayal, the onboarding responses offer a more detailed view. The website effectively showcases the results and potentially benefit more from, she could potentially benefit more from explicitly highlighting her comprehensive skill set and strategic approach as detailed in her onboarding. So this is really good information, really good feedback to show where you might be missing something on your website. Again, so this is a really good tool to use to make sure that what you're putting out there in the world accurately reflects your true offering. Okay, so now we're going to say, how do I define my ideal client? Okay, this is great. So it's great to understand who your ideal client is, because if you're not speaking to your ideal client, then you're not going to get hired by your ideal client. Okay, so let's say act like Deanna's ideal client and evaluate her website from their perspective. Okay, so now we're going to pretend like we're Deanna's client. So this offers some really great feedback. And if there's any area that needs improvement, it will definitely let you know. And it will also showcase what you're doing well. This is great because it does give a little corrective criticism here. I'm looking for a bit more detail about what the consultation process entails up front. So that's great. Overall impression. So anything that is needing attention, this is actually going to highlight that for you. And it's doing it from the perspective of your ideal client, not just in general. So we're taking that client persona and then we're using that known information about that particular demographic and then viewing the website from that perspective. All right, so now let's give some examples of how we can improve, which we've kind of already done that, but we'll go ahead and run this through anyway, just to see what it says. The first one is really good as I'm reading through this already, because a lot of people, they will think for a while before they hire you. So they'll think about it and they'll look for, what potential outcomes might be. And so that's a really good point on the very first topic. So all of these are great. These are great answers. FAQ, definitely, it's a great thing. I don't have a really detailed FAQ. And behind the scenes content, definitely don't have anything like that. An about me video is really a huge thing. It's great, something I don't do a lot of. And then what are some items that are missing from the website? We've covered that a little bit, but and then I'm going to go ahead and put the email address or the web address in there again, because I really want that these two web link reader, and I think it's Web Pilot. Okay, we'll see if this actually does it or not. It may not do it. Sometimes it does. So right now it's using the Web Pilot. I've given it specific instructions to do that. In the very beginning of the chat, we didn't do that. And sometimes I do have to, and sometimes I don't. It just depends. But I think going ahead and adding that in there is definitely a great way to just go ahead and get right to the point. Blog or insights. Yes, I definitely don't use a blog right now. I have a blog hidden, and when I get less busy, I'll have time to add a blog in. But you can see that it's already given me a great list of things that are relevant in modern website designs to go ahead and be able to get this information on there. Now, I do have social proof. I do have a lot of testimonials that I have on my website. I don't have any real media mentions in there, but at one point I did. I think I've just, over the years, have just kind of trimmed that away. Okay, so now that we've identified, let's see what the pain points are. So what we are doing as a business person is we are solving a person's problem. So this is really what we're trying to get to. All of what we've just done, all of the prompts that we've entered and all the information that we've generated is the foundation. But now what we really want to do is we want to make sure that the service or whatever it is that we offer solves a problem for a person. So we like to call this pain agitation solution, or there's a few other names for different types of writing, but this is one where we do need to know what the pain point is of the client so that we can address that pain point for them. And as you can see, it immediately starts to give solutions or identify the needs and the pain points in two distinct categories. So they're listing them out in two distinct categories so that we can deal with that information once it's generated. Okay, so now what we want to do, this is a good one too. This one's, you can change this to how many ever you want. But let's say I'm going to have a list of 5 objections or frustrations that someone who wants my service may face on their way to that solution, and how Deanna can relieve, remedy, solve these objections and frustrations. So that's, oh, there's a typo in there, how the Deanna, but it recognizes it anyway. So this is good because it tells you, it's helping you be able to communicate back to your client, yes, I get it, it's expensive, but let me show you why and why it's worth it. And you can add as many as you want in there. I think just keeping it simple is really important, and it's very helpful just to keep it simple. Okay, so we will go over to the next prompt, and this one is, it's pretty obvious, but just to go ahead and have it in writing is going to be helpful for you. So what is the ideal desired outcomes of the client? What are the ideal desired outcomes of Deanna's? So again, this is just going to help you articulate. And then obviously all of these answers are not going to be like mine. They're going to be exactly what you put into those questions, the answers that you put into that. It's going to completely cater it to your unique company information, who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Okay, so this is all good. So return on investment, personalized and collaborative service, strategic growth and scalability. All of these are really good. It helps me understand how I can elevate that client and then meet those pain points and then help that client achieve what they want. And then this one is just a little bit more into demographics, etc. So if, for example, you are trying to utilize ads, things like that, then you can get some more demographic information so that you can target your ads specifically to that client. So primarily from creative, luxury, and consulting sectors, including interior designers, photographers, high-end retail. These are going to be the people that I use to target if I use advertising. And then it goes on to give you content marketing, how to strategically target those people. Okay. And then I'm going to say I would like some unique ways that I can distinguish. Deanna, 5 unique ways she can distinguish herself from competition. And then I'm just not going to say in this area because my area is worldwide. So the broader this statement is, you obviously have much more to overcome in that. So if you narrow it down more, so let's say you are just a local service provider, then narrowing that information down to your area and be very specific about your area, and even ask it to search the internet for other providers. So use WebPilot or Access Link to search providers like me in my area, in my city, state, etc. So all of these are great. I love these answers. I've not ever done this on myself, by the way. So this is fun to see. Develop a signature style or methodology. I think that's great, really unique. Implement a collaborative design process. Okay, so that's fun. Educational platform, I already have that. Develop a brand audit service. That's great. I think that's a wonderful thing to add into my services. Okay, so now we're going to get into let's go into the copywriting one. We're not going to go into this. We'll go into that later. Let's do this common mistakes in copywriting. So this is a really important one, even though it probably seems a little dull and boring, but let's go ahead and go through and make sure we understand this. Lack of clear value proposition, that one's a huge one. Overusing industry jargon, definitely irritating to people. Not understanding the target audience, focusing too much on features, not benefits, neglecting a call to action. You should have a call to action on everything, everywhere, every place that you can possibly think of. Ignoring SEO principles, underestimating the power of storytelling. Storytelling is huge. Storytelling is what connects you to your client. I have a great example of that. It is a venue that's in South Carolina called Arabella Farm, and the owner's daughter she has an adopted daughter. And so they have that information on their website about how they support and are very pro-adoption. And it really resonates with certain people that are adopted, and they have hired them to be their wedding venue because of that. So storytelling is really important. For promising and under-delivering, inconsistent brand voice. So all of these things are really important, just to make sure that we're not doing these things. And then typos. Everybody makes typos sometimes. I make typos a lot. It's just human nature, you get in a hurry and you want to send something out and you want to take care of it, or your brain doesn't recognize it because your brain knows what it is and it's just doesn't see it. Over promising and under delivering, that is a really big one. I struggle with that myself sometimes. I book a lot of people. I lose track of what time it is, unfortunately. And then it's really, really important just to take a step back and evaluate that and make sure you understand what you're offering and how you're offering it. So let's identify some SEO keywords. So we'll do that one next. And then long tail and short tail keywords. Okay, so this would be information that would be included inside the headlines, the body copy, the SEO behind the scenes and imagery, etc. So all of that is super important. And really for me, I maybe have one customer every 2 years that is a client from Nashville. It's almost never anyone in my state. So this one, I'm really not wanting to follow the instructions on this one too much. I'll go back and refine this one. What I would like to say, and I'll go ahead and do this just to show you that when you're creating a prompt, if you don't like the outcome of the prompt, then go ahead and tell ChatGPT to correct it. So we'll say Deanna doesn't want to target her audience locally, but instead globally. I do have a lot of clients all over the place, so I'm going to just put that in there. And so you can see how it changes just a little bit. So instead of including that word Nashville or Tennessee, now it's just going off of generic search terms. And they're a lot more broad now. So they're not really honing in too much on it, but we're going to go ahead and use those instead of doing the geographic approach. Okay, so this is important, integrating these keywords into her website content, meta tags, and alt text by engaging in marketing strategies that highlight her global services. So I make sure that my written content on page, headlines, and then my back-end SEO content has this information in it. Okay, so now this would be for you if you have an existing site. So this is a really good one for, we'll say, use Web Pilot and then I'm going to put it in parentheses just to make sure it knows, even though it does it does have that information retained inside the chat, but we're going to see what it comes back with. Okay, create a headline, body copy, bullet points, call to action for every page. Include the keywords, include the generated keywords in a natural, organic manner in the headlines, copy, and bullet points. Create compelling calls to action for specific actions such as book your date before someone else does, etc. Okay, so now it's going to scan my website and then it's going to attempt to rewrite some of what I have on the pages. So it's using Web Pilot. It's going through my site right now. And it's going to begin rewriting headlines, etc. So you notice how it's picking up on the word global. We don't want that. So we'll have to go back and correct it and make sure it understands that we're the goal is not global. So you can see where some of the AI falls short. So what we can do is clarify with ChatGPT. So we'll go ahead and let it just run its course, but then I'll go back and show you how to correct that. ChatGPT can be very literal sometimes, and so that is something you have to watch out for as far as okay, so what we want to do is we want to say, please rewrite, do not make global a keyword. While Deanna serves clients on a global level, this is not the focus of her business. She is simply available for work for anyone across the globe. Let me see if there's anything else we want to take out. Showcase. Let's see. It really went to town with that word global. Anyone across the globe. Make the copy more focused on the outcome. Okay, so now let's see if it regenerates a new set of content. So you can see it's giving you a headline, body copy, bullet points, and a call to action. Now we can even create additional parameters by saying that we want a certain number of words on each page. We don't want to use certain words, etc. Okay, so this is all great. Okay, let's see. Great. I'm always polite to ChatGPT. Please rewrite and make each page at least let's say 500 words. 500 words in addition to the headline, call to action, and bullet points. Make each page at least 500. Make each page. Rewrite each page with at least 500 words of body copy. Okay, so now what it's going to do is it's going to lengthen this section right here. So now we can see it's got some kind of an error here where it's telling me it's not feasible, which I don't know, it could just be it just doesn't have the the power right now to do this, because there may be several people that are on, or it may be the directions may be unclear or may not be able to access. But it does give some pretty decent copy back. Imagine a brand that's not just seen but felt. I think that's a really great sentence. A website that doesn't just inform but engages. So those are really good. That's a really good amount of, this is a lot of copy for one page. This is a lot of writing. So you'll need to make sure that you target that copy and evaluate to determine if it's long, too long, not long enough, etc. So just evaluate, test, and see. And then you want to make sure that the copy is being read, and what is up at the very top should really be the most important, the most engaging, and the most compelling. So in addition, there are some instructions here to write some copy for the service that I use called HoneyBook, which is my CRM. So act like a brand strategist and business development expert. So what we're doing is telling ChatGPT, from what perspective are you going to provide a response? So I could say, act like a psychologist, or act like an accountant, etc. But what we're doing is saying, act like a brand strategist and a business development expert, because as individual salespeople or small business owners, we do have to be a business development expert. We have to be able to create business for ourselves. So we want to say, write the following for the HoneyBook process in their brand voice. So we've defined Deanna's brand voice. Actually, let's go ahead and take a step back now. Let's say, define Deanna's brand voice. And then this is always an interesting thing. Expert yet approachable, inspirational and aspirational, educated and informative. So while Deanna's voice is creative, it also conveys a strong sense of strategy and focus. So it's important to find a good balance so that people can relate to you. We'll go ahead and put that prompt back in there and say, let's go ahead and write the following for Deanna's HoneyBook process. It should be targeted to her ideal client. And then I personally don't like to have any references to magic, sorcery, enchantment, etc. Sometimes HoneyBook will say, or ChatGPT will say, it's, enchanting or magical. I personally just don't like using those words. And I don't like to use the phrase, turn your dream into a reality. So we're going to tell it exactly what we want it to write. And it's going to be very specific. So we want to have it write these things right here. Okay, so we're going to add these two prompts in together. Okay, and so I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm going to hit enter 2 times, and then I'm going to paste this. Please write a welcome brochure that will have the following pages. Welcome, and I'm going to say from Deanna, services, next steps, and schedule a consult. And it's going to further identify what I want, or I am going to further identify what I want as the outcome for the welcome brochure. So a brief section about the company, a brief overview of its services, write an intro for the services page, create a template for each service. Each service should have a compelling and brief paragraph with bullet points of features and benefits and price. And then we want to have it write a next steps page. So we want to have it, I've got a client's name in there actually, draft a list of questions we would need to have the client answer as well. So we're being very specific about the outcome that we need, the response that it gives. And so we're going to tell it to go ahead and provide all of this information based on all of this information that we have already input and had responses generated from. One last thing I want to add in there is I want to say use Deanna's brand voice and make it compelling to her target audience. And then I'm even going to say create a sense of urgency. And this would be like for my honey book. If, for example, I want to, or Deanna, I'm going to say Deanna wants her customers, her clients, her potential clients to know that if they aren't getting the message out, someone else will beat them to it. Okay, so now I've been very specific about what I want. So we'll see what it gives as far as a response. And then additionally, you can also say include bullet points, how many words you want it to be, and the tone, etc. Can be very specific about it. Now, this is providing a services template, and this would be like how you would present your services at all times. Having the features and benefits is good. Next steps is really important. And then next step details. And then questions. I'm telling it to write some questions for me for the client to be able to answer so that I can book them. Okay, let's see what else we have. And then we can do the same thing with an email, with the emails that we want to create. So if we want to go back and say, okay, let's make each page, 250 words with 5 bullet points. We can do that. We can say, make the service description at least 3 sentences. So let's go ahead and do that. Make the content for each page at least 200 words with about 5 bullet points each. For the service descriptions, make those at least 400 characters. Characters plus the bullet points. Okay. Just to show you how it will change what's being written. Now we can see that it is a little bit more in depth. It's giving a little bit more detail, and it's definitely making it stand out just a little bit more, attention grabbing with the bolding, which I recommend, and then just making it very clear what's offered and how to go about booking. Okay, so that I'm going to stop here. I think you can kind of get the gist of it. You can take all this information and you can copy it. I don't think yet, let's see, they don't have a download yet, but you can share this with someone. You can copy and paste the information into your, like a document to keep it on hand. And then in addition, inside of Chrome, there's actually a lot of plugins that you can use. So if I go into ChatGPT in Chrome, you have the ability to actually save it to Notion. There's a lot more features if you're inside Chrome. So you can access a lot more features through Chrome extensions. But I think this will help you tremendously if you're just at a loss for words. One other thing I want to show you before we end the video. Let's do this. This is another really great feature. So let's say we want to write out a booking process for Deanna using HoneyBook. Be specific about each phase from inquiry to completion, and create an outline Deanna can use to create her HoneyBook setup. Okay, so see, this gives you a great way to be able to document your process. So for example, if you have team members, then now you can take this and actually put it into a binder and have it be a part of your process where it's not just in your head or it's just in HoneyBook, but it's there written out for you to be able to share with other people or to refer back to talk about what's working, what's not working in your setup, etc. So just keep in touch. I will continue to make additional videos for this. It is really helpful. One of the great things about ChatGPT is it does have a lot of plugins, and it's always a good idea to take what you have had generated from ChatGPT and run it through a program like Grammarly, which is also, of course, AI. Grammarly has been around for a long time, but Grammarly will help you make sure that your information is written correctly. So I'll just show you. I'll give you a little bit of an example here. So we'll go here, copy all of this. And I'm going to open up Grammarly just to show you. And then I'm going to show you one other quick little app that I like to use. Let's see here. So for Grammarly, I have a paid subscription, which is great. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do a title is about Deanna, and then I'm going to paste. And then it's going to come up with this set of goals. We are going to write creatively, and I want to inform, describe, convince, tell a story. I'm going to write it to an audience that's general because I don't want the sentences to be complex and lengthy. And most of the time, the stuff that I am talking about to people about domains and SEO, they're not knowledgeable in this, so otherwise they wouldn't be asking me about this in the first place. So that's why I want to make sure that I'm not using jargon. Remember, in one of the chat prompts, I said using jargon is a bad idea. So this is a huge pet peeve of mine. I cannot stand when someone uses straight and not curly inside they're writing for quotations. Curly ones are used in writing, straight ones are used for measurement. Okay, so this is a great example right here. Rewrite for clarity. Our services are meticulously crafted to transform your brand in a powerful and cohesive entity that captivates and engages. So it's just saying, change this up a little bit, and it'll often say, streamline your client management and elevate. Okay. That sounded maybe a little pretentious, so maybe improve is a better word right there. Honeybook, so we want to make sure these are all curly. And then right here, discuss. There we go. And then you don't always have to go through every single one of their, you don't have to accept every single one of their suggestions, but they are really good. And then the other application that I use is Hemingway app. This is the whole, if I had more time, I'd write a shorter letter approach. So we will copy all of this content that we just put inside Grammarly that came initially from ChatGPT. And now we're going to put it in here, and it's going to show you where sentences are hard to read, or they use passive voice, they use adverbs. So, and then it'll also give you the option to fix it for you in the paid subscription. So welcome to Deanna Burks, where the essence of your business is transformed into a captivating brand, an identity, and digital presence. Let me see what it rewrites. Okay, so that's good. I don't hate that. With over 2 decades. All right, let's see what it says. Okay. I have over 2 decades of dedication. I don't like that. I have dedicated over 2 decades to branding, website design. Okay. I do like that one better, but I don't like saying decades. I have dedicated over 25 years. Saying I have dedicated over 2 decades is hard to say. My unique approach is not just about creating visually stunning designs. It's about weaving your unique story into every aspect of your brand, ensuring it resonates deeply with your audience and stands out in a crowded marketplace. So this is a really long sentence. It's a good sentence, but it's really long. So let's see what. So it breaks it up into smaller sentences, which is much easier to read. And it still has the same message. So it's just easier to read now. Just is a really weak word. And I don't like to use that word. This phrase may have okay, so now Grammarly is kicking in. More than making stunning designs. Okay, now this one, here your vision meets expertise, creativity. So it's hard to read. Okay. I don't love that it says it also meets creativity. Here your vision meets expertise. I don't really love that suggestion, but I would have to think about that a little bit. So I'm not going to change that one just yet. I don't want it to lose what I have put into it, but let's see what this one does. And then it offered the word just, and it's going to probably go back and go, don't use that. So there you go. Meticulously crafted. Okay, let's see what AI does for us here. We have crafted our services with care. They transform your brand into a powerful, unified entity. I don't like the word entity. It captivates and engages. So that's good, but I'll find a different word for entity because I don't like that. Into a deep audience understanding. It needs strategic insight, fresh designs, and a deep understanding of your audience. I think that is what I do. I have to have a deep understanding of someone's audience. Okay, we'll see what this one does. From the start to the end, we're here to guide you through a big change. It will position your brand for success. That's a great suggestion. So I like that one a lot. So there you go. Those are 3 AI programs that you can use to create your own content and develop and build on your content, and then test it, evaluate, see how it works, see how clients respond, see if your bookings improve, etc. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation and this course. I'm going to leave the chat prompts in the course for you. I'm going to make it accessible to you and also give you a questionnaire that you can fill out on your own to create your own notes so that you can feed that information into ChatGPT. Again, thank you so much for joining. This is Deanna Burks signing off. I am a Squarespace developer, HoneyBook Pro and educator, and brand strategist, business development expert, and I look forward to speaking with you again. Thanks.